Just a minute. We have got a lot of basketball games to win.
Well, how you doing, everybody? Along with Tim Kempton, Al McCoy with you.
A long three. He got it! He got it! And they're going bananas.
And good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Cameron Cox, Lena Washington on your TV. Welcome into 12 Sports Locker. Now, I'm just going to say this right out of the gate here. This will not be a normal Saturday night sports show because the Valley, we lost a friend today, right, Lena?
Yes, I'm sure you've heard by now, Suns legend Al McCoy passing away at the age of 91. The Suns confirming the news this afternoon. And over the next hour, we'll be reliving some of Al's best moments, his favorite calls, and we will catch up with some of those who knew him best here in the Valley to celebrate his life and one that was legendary here in the Valley.
Lena, today was tough, but that was the best part, getting the chance to talk with those who knew him well.
Yeah.
McCoy, of course, the voice of the Suns for over 5 decades, 51 years on the mic, the longest tenured broadcaster in NBA history. He called first Suns game in '72 and his last in 2023. McCoy was there for every defining moment. He is survived by 3 sons, 7 grandchildren, and 6 great-grandchildren. The McCoy family releasing this statement, quote, "He taught us the value of respect, loyalty, hard work, love, both on and off the court. The impact he made will be felt for generations to come."
Suns owner Matt Ishbia saying, quote, "He was the heartbeat of our organization, a cherished friend, a mentor to many, and a legend whose voice brought countless unforgettable moments to life for generations of Suns fans. We are heartbroken by the passing of our beloved Al." And NBA Commissioner Adam Silver also sending heartfelt condolences, quote, "He was the master of his craft. He set a high standard. He entertained generations of fans with his distinct delivery and unbridled love for the game. And he was a beloved friend to many of us in the NBA community."
You know, Lena, today I was finding myself, it's very hard to find the right words at times for moments like this. I remember Al's final game. The Suns just got blown out of the playoffs, but in the middle of covering another tough playoff exit, I remember I grabbed my cameraman and we just ran out the tunnel, up the stands to capture the final moments of Al's final broadcast. There was like 30 fans hanging around there listening, all waiting. We couldn't miss the chance to tell Al thank you one more time. Dear Al, I can't believe I'm saying this because a world without you just doesn't feel real. It hurts the heart, but thank you. It seems so simple, and I know you wouldn't accept it, but thank you. Thank you for bringing basketball to life in the Valley. Thank you for being the soundtrack of our community. Thank you for giving us hope during the tough times.
Back with Hot Rod Hundley. It's the Suns and Utah Jazz and NBA action live from Tokyo coming right up.
Once again, along with Cotton Fitzsimmons, I'm Al McCoy.
And making the good times feel. Core memories generations will never forget.
Shazam! Go! Booker's unbelievable 7 3-pointers.
It comes to Marley. A long three. He got it! He got it! And they're going bananas at America West Arena.
Not bad for a farm kid / point guard from Iowa, right? Humble beginnings.
And he flies in for a wham, bam, slam.
How does a kid from Iowa grow up to be a broadcaster?
Well, with a lot of luck, I guess. I always loved basketball and always wanted to be have the ability to broadcast sporting events in some of the biggest venues in the country, and I've had that privilege, and that's what it's been a real privilege.
The biggest thing that has hit me is that I now have the privilege of being associated with these gentlemen right here.
Moving to the Valley to do play-by-play for AAA baseball and minor league hockey had to have been different. Thankfully, insert Jerry Colangelo and the Suns. Well, history writes itself.
Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, stay with us as the Suns get set to shine.
Did you ride off into the sunset or just keep on going?
I'm just worried about getting through the week.
Double time.
Well, how you doing, everybody? Along with Vinny Del Negro, Al McCoy with you courtside.
That voice booming over Valley Airways for 51 years. Basketball Hall of Fame in '07. Suns Ring of Honor. The Media Center at the arena is named after you. It's always a nice reminder every time you walk in the building. Oh, and then there's that third chance to call the NBA Finals in 2021. What a sweet resume.
The Suns are going to the NBA Finals.
What would it mean if this team could win a title?
Well, the Suns have always been the team. They've been the team for everybody in this area. And it would be something extra special, and it would be great to be a part of.
But our community is your legacy and the lives you made better just by saying that signature catchphrase.
Corner Roger Bell, the three. He got it! Shazam!
How did you come up with Shazam? I've always wanted to ask you.
Well, when I was growing up on that farm, I used to read comic books. Don't tell anybody that. And the little guy that became Captain Marvel, his name was Billy Batson, and he was actually a radio reporter. When he became Captain Marvel, he said Shazam, and lightning and thunder and noise all went off. Shazam! So when the three-point shot came into the NBA, I said, well, that's going to be like a home run call.
Starts his drive, pumps up a three. Shazam! He ties it.
And I thought maybe there might be one or two in the game. Now there's one or two in the first 2 seconds, right? But that's where Shazam came from.
I know the last few years were tough. Health issues that you never wanted to talk about. They limited your travel to games before retirement in 2023. But they didn't limit your passion, especially for basketball, or to tell it like it is.
It's been a great ride, and right now I'm just looking forward to the start of the season.
Can we get a prediction for what the Suns are going to be able to do this year?
Just win. That's what it's all about. Just win, baby. It's been a tremendous ride, and the fans have been so fantastic. And, you know, I think that's the one thing that I really look forward to.
So to borrow a line from you, so long for now, old friend, but thank you. And we love you, Al.
It's just been great to be a part of it.
Can you give us one last Shazam on out the door?
Going out the door, and it goes up, Shazam! That would be it.
He was one of a kind. By the way, that shot of him and Devin Booker hugging, it like gets me every time. Time to bring in our insider, Doug Franz. And Doug, your reaction when you heard the news today was what?
No.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you kind of knew that the time was coming, but you still didn't like, as soon as that email for me is when I found out, came across. How long do we have? I mean, can I talk for 25 minutes?
You talk for that. Keep
Can I
going.
have an hour? You know, it's hard to even start, but I think I'll start with bookending it. There was a great writer for the Dayton newspaper, Dayton, Ohio. His name was Hal McCoy. I grew up in Ohio. Well, I moved here in 2007 to start what was then called Doug and Wolf. And I mistakenly said Hal McCoy the first time I introduced him. You can imagine the unbelievable embarrassment when he's a legend in the city. I'm trying to ingratiate myself into the city, and I screw up that bad. But I hadn't met the man yet.
Yeah, sure.
So I actually meet him just a few weeks later and just try to kiss his feet, and he just laughs. Had no legend presence about him. It was like, come on, it's fine. So that's how I met Al McCoy. Well, then, 15 years later, the Doug and Wolf show ends. I get told they're not going to renew my contract on a Friday. First people that call me are Paul and Justine Kelly of Parker & Sons. Really nice, because advertisers found out.
Sure.
But nobody found out until Monday publicly. The first person that called me out of everyone in the world, I didn't even have Al's cell phone number after all these years. It's a strange number. I don't know why I answered it, because I normally don't answer. That was kind of God at work. I answered the phone and I said hello. And sports fans of the Valley, you'll laugh like crazy when you hear this. It's no different when he calls you as when he starts a broadcast. He says, Doug, this is Al McCoy. And I just said, Al, what's going on? And he just called to reach out to ask, how am I doing? I want to keep the rest of the conversation private because he told me things that probably he doesn't want anybody else to know. But it was such a powerful conversation at my lowest point, and he cared that much to reach out. And I'll never forget it.
And that's really a common theme in the conversations that we've had throughout the day with people who have known him. Just small gestures that go a mile for people on the receiving end. That is just Al being Al. You know, no aura about him, no elitism, but he was just a person to person. And we're holding him on this pedestal, but he was that person to call, to leave a voicemail, to say thank you to people who were thankful for him.
Yeah, you put it best, Lita. No elitism. It doesn't matter whether you were new in this market or you're established in this market. The man cared for everybody he met. He made it seem like all of us were the most important person in his life. Yeah. And that's who Al McCoy was. And I can just, you know, wonderfully say, Al, I love you and thanks for our friendship.
Doug, we got about 20 seconds left. Do you have a favorite moment?
Gosh.
Besides, the phone call, it seems like
I don't think I can beat the phone. You know, real quick, I would say on his final broadcast, he just simply ended it by saying, "So long for now." And even in that moment, when we all wanted it to be about him, he was still so professional. He wasn't going to make it about him. It was still about the game. And if he went on a long speech about how much he cares about the game and us and the Suns, it would have been about him. And instead, he made it about us and said, "So long for now." And since I believe in God and I believe that he has a son and I believe in a heaven, I would like to say the same thing, you know, that I hope to see Al McCoy again, because so long for now is exactly where he belongs, up in heaven.
Doug, we are so thankful to have you here today.
Oh.
Thanks for sharing that, my friend.
I will come in anytime to talk about Al McCoy.
We love that. And one of the final times we really saw Al step foot outside in public with the Suns was in the introduction of head coach Mike Budenholzer. And boy, Coach Bud showed his love for Al in that moment. But here's a statement released today. "We lost one of my heroes. I can still hear Al's voice in our living room and backyard calling the plays. The last time we saw Al was a surprise appearance to introduce Coach Bud back home."
Good afternoon, everybody. I happen to be Al McCoy, and I love basketball. Right now, I welcome you to what I believe is one of the highlights of the Suns' entire history. It is a great honor for me to present to you now a coach that loves the game of basketball, the coach of the Phoenix Suns, Mike Budenholzer. Mike, come on out here, and Shazam for you, my friend. Mike, love you. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
My heroes right there.
Al, as a Valley guy, I would say, to introduce another Arizona boy like that, where would that rank for you?
Well, it's so nice to be remembered. And, of course, going way back with Mike to his high school days at Holbrook, when he is so outspoken about listening to me and growing up listening to me on Suns broadcasts, it's really something special. And now to have him back home, so to speak, and as the new coach of the Suns, a great day, no question about it.
If you heard him, but you introduced him, and he goes, "That's my hero," and then he started bowing down to you.
Well, he was a basketball guy. As a kid growing up, he loved the game. He knows my compassion for the game as a broadcaster, and as I said, it's nice that he didn't forget that.
I saw you go over and say hello to his dad before it even started. Why was that important to you?
Well, Vince, his dad, was a very well-documented high school basketball coach, won all the awards and everything. And Mike grew up listening to his dad about the game of basketball, and it was great to have an opportunity to see Coach Vince again. Coach Budenholzer will be a great leader among the players.
Just so we're clear, we let him slide for being a Spur in the Bucks and six thing?
We'll let him slide, right, okay.
Guys, if Al says it, right? It's
law.
It's law. There we go. Well said, Lena. This from Suns guard Devin Booker. Guys, they had such an unbelievable friendship, and I think it made us all smile. I had the privilege of Al McCoy narrating the first 8 years of my career. We will miss Al, and I'm grateful our legacies in Phoenix are forever connected. I think I speak for the entire Valley. We are all grateful that they are forever connected.
But wait a minute. Just a minute. We have got a lot of basketball games to win. Right? So let's go. Shazam!
Oh, Lena, that Shazam just hitting a little different today. We continue to honor and remember the life of legendary Suns broadcaster Al McCoy. This was his last regular season game. Jerry Colangelo on hand, Matt Ishbia. I thought that was really cool, those two standing together. Devin Booker, the longest tenured member of the team, of course, was right next to Al to watch all of this courtside. It was just a beautiful ceremony.
It was great to have an opportunity just to say thank you for all the people that have followed me for 51 years. Jerry Colangelo is the one that made it all possible. He started it by giving me the job, and I just could never thank him enough.
I know growing up, when I was a little kid, coming to the games and stuff, hearing him it's nice to still be able to hear that voice. So it's really cool.
I used to do radio with him. It was just this booming voice. I felt like I thought somebody was going to come into the office that was about 6'10". I soon found out, just based on how people revered him here, how important he's been to the fabric of the Suns and to this community. So it's pretty cool that he got recognized today, and I'm grateful that I had a chance to work with him.
Lena, that's such a great point by Monty. Sounded 6'10", didn't he?
And that is really another thing that's echoed among basketball players and coaches is you expect this huge figure, and then you see Al McCoy. And then just going back to that Ring of Honor ceremony, being out there on the court, and I had my head on a swivel, and I knew if there was going to be one player to leave the locker room and come watch, it was going to be Devin Booker, one of the youngest players on the team, but one of the most dedicated to celebrating Al McCoy.
Definitely. All right, someone who knew Al very well since the 70s, former D-backs, longtime broadcaster, Greg Schulte, the governor, right? Greg was, get this, Al's producer at one time in the 80s and 90s. He was the first person ever to fill in for Al when he got laryngitis. Also, first year D-backs baseball, Al actually subbed in for Greg a few times. Greg Schulte joining us now. Greg, I remember when I talked to you about Al years ago when we were asking when you were going to retire, you referred to him as your best friend. How close were you guys?
Really close, Cameron. And, it's a rough day. We knew the time was coming. Al took a turn for the worse here in the last week or so. And, it's never easy, even though you know it's coming. And my best friend, I mean, we've known each other since 1979. We'd be on the phone together a couple times a week. He'd call me after a big game. I'd call him after a big game. And, it's a friendship that I'm going to miss, because I won't be able to talk to him anymore.
Greg, how did this all start? How did you guys become best friends?
Well, Al was out here. He'd actually been brought to Phoenix to call Phoenix Giants games back in the 50s and moved on to the Roadrunners and the Suns. My wife and I moved out in 1979. I was from the Illinois part of the Quad Cities, which also included 2 cities in Iowa. Al was an Iowa guy, and we just kind of hit it off. Al was still working at KTAR. The Suns were on KTAR. That's where I went to work. And it was a friendship that developed at that time and lasted here until 2024. And that friendship will go on, but, it'll just be a little bit more quiet.
Greg, what made him so special in your eyes?
Very humble. I mean, Al was not one of those that would brag about anything. He called the ball game. He always told me when I was broadcasting, one of the first things he told me when I got the Diamondbacks job, remember, baseball is the story. You're not the story. I'm not the story with the Suns. It's the game itself and the players. And I always remembered that, and always will remember that in any kind of sport I might broadcast, as a fill-in. Again, I thought it was wise words from Al, and something that I took to the heart, and that was just Al. He was just a humble person, a good person. And I'll say this, I don't think there has been a better broadcaster in Arizona in the history of this state. News people, this is not a snub at anybody else, but I don't think there was a better broadcaster, somebody who meant more to the people, the listening audience, the viewing audience, than Al McCoy.
When you guys were talking about broadcasting and about life and about sports and baseball and basketball, like what were those conversations like away from the mic, Greg?
They were good. I mean, I asked Al for a lot of advice. Al would ask me, if you ever hear anything, if that I need to do, let me know. I don't think I ever did. I don't think I ever had to. But we'd critique each other. And they were all good critiques for the most part. He'd call me after a big game and say, "Hey, how about those Diamondbacks?" I'd call him, especially the last couple of years here, the way things have gone with the Suns pretty well. And, hey, Al, they're going to get in, and they did. And it was a lot of fun. It was every conversation was good, but we'd always talk sports. We talk about the Midwest. A lot of broadcasters are from that area. Just a lot of things, a lot of memories to talk with. I saw Al probably about 3 weeks ago or so, and that's one of the things we talked about, all the great memories we had, because I would travel with him with the Suns, and He'd play the piano when we go into certain places. They'd have a piano. Al was an accomplished pianist, and he'd play the piano, and he'd get a big ovation for that. But it's sad. I'm keeping it cool here right now, but I'm sure I'm going to have my moments sooner or later.
So, Greg, even towards the end, I was still talking sports. Like, that was the one thing. You always asked him how he was doing. He'd brush it off quickly and bring up something else because he wanted to keep that conversation going. He loved talking about anything and everything sports.
Yeah, and everything Arizona, be it the Suns, Diamondbacks, Cardinals, hockey, ASU. And he, for the most part, had a part in each one of those sports. So a great man. He lived a great life, 91 years. I guess if you could sum up Al's life, I would use a term that he used very often calling the Suns game. It was a wham, bam, slam. There's no doubt about it.
Greg, you're going to get us all with that one right there, man. Do you remember the last thing you said to Al?
I love you, Al. As we walked out the door at his apartment. Al was one of a kind. They broke the mold when when he was born. Al McCoy, the greatest that has broadcast here in Arizona, and nobody will ever top what he did. 51 years of broadcasting for one team. I did 26. I thought that was a lot, but 51, 91 years old. He had a great life. The one thing I told Al, and he agreed with, I said, Al, you're very fortunate. You were never really sick a day in your life up here until the end. So he lived a full life. He lived it well. And he went out a champ. There's no doubt about it.
Do you have a favorite Al McCoy call or moment that just makes you smile?
Yeah, I think maybe a Rex Chapman shot, a big three that he hit. Yeah, exactly. And I was screaming in the background. I feel bad about that, but it was just, we had a lot of moments like that. Al had a habit too. When something big would happen, we sat right next to each other. He would grab my arm and he'd hold on as tight as he could. I think because he didn't want to get out of his chair, or he just wanted to keep things under control. So, but that Rex Chapman shot, there were a lot of good moments for the Suns. There's no doubt about it. And he called every one of them. So, but the Rex Chapman shot's the one I remember.
And then, of course, Greg, we're in your office. You're in your office right now. And is Al always right over your shoulder right there?
Al's right over my shoulder. Yeah, I've got the bobblehead up there, and I'll probably play it several times. I don't know if every time I come into the office, but maybe.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate the time, buddy.
Thank you.
Welcome back to 12 Sports Locker Room. We continue to remember the life and legacy of Suns legend Al McCoy. Lena, I love this photo.
Shout out to Patrick Breen. He knows how to capture the moment.
Yeah, the Arizona Republic, McCoy and Devin Booker walking into the Footprint Center together in October of last year. Like, I just love that. This past season, for the first time, the Suns, of course, had a new voice. Our good friend John Bloom took over for Al when he retired after 51 years on the mic. He's been McCoy's backup since 2008, and he makes sure of this. The most important thing Bloom does going forward is...
I just love sharing the story. He's one of a kind. You go to other cities in this country, folks, if you live in the Valley and you've been born and raised here and you haven't traveled much, here's a little hint from your buddy John. There aren't a whole lot of Al McCoys on this planet. In fact, there's one, and really nobody's going to touch what he did from a longevity standpoint and from a standpoint of becoming such an ingrained part of a community like the Valley of the Sun. And that goes beyond, just the basin, as my buddy Ron Wolfley would call it. It goes beyond that. It goes to everybody who ever has touched the Suns organization. So I made it clear that that's important to me, to carry on that legacy and continue to tell Al McCoy's story as long as I do this job.
That is just so cool that John is going to keep doing that moving forward. And Al's got a lot of stories to tell, and I just hope people keep remembering his legacy.
Absolutely. He is going to be remembered here for generations. And we heard from former Suns player and head coach Jeff Hornacek, who actually knew Al McCoy since the late 80s when he was drafted by Phoenix.
The biggest thing about Al, I think, is not just him as the announcer. He's not a very big guy, and that big, deep, booming voice comes out of him. The first thing is like, wow, that's him. That's the voice. But he's just such a great guy. He made everybody feel welcome. It wasn't, about what he was going to do as in the announcing world, or about him doing these games. It was all about you when he interviewed you. We met before every game when I was coaching, and the first thing he did when he came into the office was ask about the family, what's been going on, and have a 5-minute discussion about that. And then he goes, "All right, let's talk about the game." So, that's the type of guy he was. It was, he was basketball, but basketball for him, was more about the people. There's nothing like it to sit there and talk with him and talk about life, talk about basketball, and he's just sad that he's not with us anymore.
How would you like him to be remembered here in the Valley?
Just as he was, he's Al McCoy, Big Al, with that voice, the voice of the Suns. That's him. There's no other way to describe him in this Valley. From probably when he came, there was, I don't know, 500,000 people to now there's 5 or 6 million. And I'm pretty sure that a very good amount of those people know who Al McCoy is.
Yeah, I mean, even for you, he watched your family grow from being a player to becoming the coach and then becoming a friend. I mean, that's so special.
It is. And, there's not many people like that in this world. He's a great role model for kids and people to follow. And even me, that all I have learned from him, how to just try to be a good person. It's, however I go back, my wife's from Iowa, and it always seems it's like those Iowa roots, but, he's a perfect guy to try to emulate in life.
Absolutely. We don't have any statues out front of the arena in downtown Phoenix. Could he be the best candidate to bring one to celebrate one of the figures of the Suns franchise?
I'm all in for it. Have that microphone, and how many people can say that they've, even Jared Colangelo end up selling the team and moving on. And he's one of these guys that's been there pretty much from the start. So definitely that would be a great thing that I think we all would love to see.
Lena, role model, the hug with Jerry there, and then build a statue.
Yes.
Build the statue
Get
out
to
front.
work, Matt.
Next on 12 Sports Locker Room, more on the life and legacy of Al McCoy and why this upcoming season should have some beer celebrating the life of Suns legendary broadcaster Al McCoy.
And McCoy had an impact on so many people working in sports media, myself included, as a Phoenician, growing up in the Valley, riding in the car with my dad, listening to his calls. General manager of PHNX Sports, Greg Esposito, widely known to all of us here in the Valley as Espo, shared some of his thoughts on McCoy's passing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a tough day in the Valley and a tough day around the NBA. I mean, he was a man that was not only well respected here, but throughout the league. Adam Silver, the commissioner, had a statement today. Multiple broadcasters from across sports, not just the NBA, talking about how they always loved interacting with him. But for us locally, it's like losing a friend or a family member, because we welcomed him into our homes 82 nights a year and sometimes more with the playoffs. And he was just a voice that we recognized, and he comforted us in a lot of ways throughout the years.
How do you think this figure in Arizona sports will be remembered throughout the basketball community and just around the nation?
Well, I think he'll be remembered as the greatest Sun of all time. He spent 51 years bleeding purple and orange, and he is the ambassador to basketball in Phoenix. Without him, I don't think the city embraces this team as much. He started in the early 70s. He was the soundtrack until a few years ago. Every moment, every heartbreak, every emotion that you could possibly feel, he helped us with that along the way. And it's his legacy is going to be as one of the greatest Phoenicians, but definitely the greatest Phoenix Sun ever. It's human nature to be sad, at least with the initial news, because it is somebody that we've known for such a long time. And whether you knew him personally or you only knew him through the broadcast, there was a personal relationship there because he was around so often, and so many of these core memories that we have, his voice is attached to them as sports fans. So I think, being sad in the moment right now makes sense, but I also know that we should celebrate the man, celebrate what he did, what he provided all of us, what he meant to all of us, and what he meant to basketball in this community. And this next season will be that celebration of life for Al McCoy. Every time that team steps on the court, that's a reminder of what Al meant to all of us. That's a reminder of what an impact he had. And hopefully it ends in late June with getting that Larry O'Brien trophy as the ultimate celebration of what Al meant to us and getting that one thing that he didn't get to achieve in his career. It's the time to go out and win one for Al. As fans, cheer your heart out for Al. As a team, go out there and win it all for Al McCoy, because this town, this franchise, and all of us will never be the same after his impact on all of us.
Beautifully said, Espo. Win it for Al.
Yes.
Get the shirts printed.
Welcome back into 12 Sports Locker Room. Cameron Cox and Lena Washington with you. We continue to honor the life and legacy of Suns legend broadcaster Al McCoy. We've talked to so many of his friends today, Lena. We appreciate them all taking time out of their Saturday to speak with us on a busy Saturday, too, as well. We did get a chance to catch up with Suns broadcaster Tom Leander. Today is his anniversary, but he wanted to share some thoughts on Al.
It's just a world without Al McCoy is just not one that I've ever lived in. So I just thinking about his family and his Suns fans too. I mean, his voice will forever echo in our minds, but not to have him here physically is it's going to be really hard.
What comes to mind when you think of Al? Do you smile? Do you cry? Do you hear Shazam?
Heck yeah. I'm going to smile. You know, it is emotional, but man, I grew up here in Phoenix, Cam, and started listening to him. That's why I got into the business. Started doing some play-by-play myself in college, and wanted to come up with all my own catchphrases, just like he had. So he's deep in my heart. And then to have worked with him, to have developed a friendship, to have traveled with him for a decade on Suns planes, it's been an absolute dream come true. As a ball boy, I got to set up the press table. Stan Richards was our public address announcer, and Al, they both liked their Coke and Diet Coke. So I was one of the few guys that actually had a chance to go into the locker room and get those Cokes and Diet Cokes and put them on the press table for Al. So I idolized him forever.
What will you remember most about Al?
His enthusiasm, his passion, his kindness to others, and just the calls, man. I mean, they're forever in my head, and we're gonna replay him, I'm sure, all season long, and just like we have for years past. And more than anything, Cam, I think it's the respect that I've seen from Walter Davis at his Ring of Honor ceremony when he embraced Al, when Devin Booker, the way that he treats Al with so much respect. And I tweeted out about Coach Bud. I mean, you talk about a hug to take to heaven. I mean, that was a great finale. I mean, it's something that all of us broadcasters aspire to have the respect of players and coaches, not just the fans.
A hug. Welcome back to the Locker Room. We continue to remember the life of Suns legend Al McCoy. Doug Franz back with us. Doug, you've kind of sat here the past hour and listened to everybody remember Al. What were your takeaways?
I loved Lena's question about a statue. So number one, that's the greatest idea, that he could be statue number one.
Yeah.
But let me do something on top of it. Around the middle of February, the Suns are at home, and that will be game 51.
Wow.
In my opinion, talk to the commissioner, and from now on, game 51, the Suns are already at home, always at home, and game 51 is always in honor of Al McCoy.
Oh, I love that idea.
Yeah.
This is a few times.
Well, I added on to yours. The statue wins.
Yeah.
Well, now we've got a two-prong attack to honor Al McCoy coming up in the next couple of years, hopefully in downtown Phoenix.
It's going to be a special year as the Suns figure out some way to honor his life and legacy. We will continue to do that here all weekend. Doug, thank you so much for being here tonight. We'll have much more on Al McCoy coming up tonight at 10 o'clock. But first, here is his final call.
That pretty much wraps things up here. And for one last time, this is Al McCoy saying thanks for being there. Thanks for being with us tonight. We'll just say so long for now.